SRM University, Andhra Pradesh, I would like to welcome you to join us in celebration of World Environment Day 2022. Every year, World Environment Day is being celebrated on June 5th, and the first celebration was made in 1972 at Stockholm, and where the first time the discussion was made the relationship between the human and environment, and also emphasized to nurture the nature so that we can have a better future. This year, 2022, marks the 50 years of celebration, and therefore the campaign slogan of World Environment Day 2022 is the same what we had in 1972. That is only one Earth. Because in the universe, there are billions of galaxies, and in our galaxies, there are billions of planets, but there is only one Earth where the life exists. So let's take care of it with the focus on living sustainably in harmony with nature. With this, I'm starting this program. And to begin with the session, first I would like to invite the head of the Department of Environmental Science, Dr. Karthik Rajendran, to have a welcome address. Over to you, Dr. Karthik.
Thank you, Pankaj. I extend a very warm welcome to all the dignitaries present here, especially our chief guest, Dr. Sajeev sir from Kerala Forest Research Institute, and our Honorable VC sir, who has kindly, graciously agreed to give the foreword on this particular event, and Professor Babu sir, Dean of School of Engineering and Sciences, who will give the green initiatives that we are carrying out at SRM AP, and also all the participants who have joined over here. This particular topic, why did she stop going to school? It's a very intriguing topic for the common audience to understand how the role of student will help in saving the planet. We are in a planet, we have the COVID crisis, and we are looking at beyond. And the climate crisis we haven't faced yet, and it is coming sooner or later, and we should have a solution for it. So with that, I'll thank all the participants and as well as the dignitaries, especially my department colleagues who have been taking care of different roles for this particular talk. I thank you all and welcome you for this warm lecture. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Karthik, for this welcoming address. Now, I would like to request Professor V.S. Rao, Vice Chancellor of SRM University, to have forward. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Pankaj. Dr. Sanjeev, the Senior Principal Scientist, Deans, Registrar, Professor Babu, Deans, Engineering and Sciences, heads of the departments, Associate Deans, particularly Head of the Department of Environmental Studies, Dr. Karthik Rajendran, and his entire team, who have taken the initiative to organize this particular event on the eve of World Environment Day. I would like to reiterate what Dr. Pankaj spoke in her welcome address. I agree with you. In this biosphere, which is unmatched in the entire galaxy, there is no other planet which is having human habitat. So that puts a lot of responsibility on all those people who are enjoying that special status by protecting that environment. Unfortunately, due to rapid industrialization, which started somewhere in 18th century, we have started destroying the environment, destruction of the environment. It started with deforestation, which is supposed to cover the greenhouse gases and uncontrolled emission of greenhouse gases because of this rapid industrialization. We have seen many of its effects, be it in the form of, I think what they're called splash rains in various big cities. In a short while, lot of flooding. And of course, floods in Northeast and various other areas because of the rising sea levels. All this is because of the uncontrolled destruction of the environment in various ways, not only rapid industrialization without protection of the emitted gases, and also the fossil fuel which we are using in various forms is contributing to the greenhouse gases. Further, the ozone depletion is also creating a very big problem in destroying our environment. To sensitize people about the environment, about our bounden duty to protect this environment and the hazards that can happen because of this reckless use of various things. We need to sensitize our people. We need to educate our people. We need to urge the people at large to protect the environment. So, as was the year 1972, United Nations Human Resource, not Human Resource Development, this particular day, Human Environment held in Stockholm. And the first event was held in the subsequent year, 1973. As she mentioned, it is a strange or a coincidence that it is the same theme, only one Earth in the entire galaxy. So we have our bounden duty to protect this. So the theme of this particular year celebration of the environmental day you mentioned protect is only one Earth. So this underscores the fact that out of all the galaxies, star systems and planets known, only Earth sustains life. Since human actions are causing irreversible damage to the environment, there is an urgent need to minimize present further damage to the biosphere. Today, there is an urgent need to take corrective measures to safeguard our planet. Let us take a pledge to protect the environment and also to propagate this message across all sections of life. I would also like to take this opportunity to inform, especially the participants from outside, that the emphasis that this university gives for environmental studies, we have started this department right from our inception, year 2017. The department offers various courses in addition to a compulsory course of 3 credits about environment, and they are planning to start undergraduate and postgraduate programs. Normally in universities, one starts undergraduate programs, then go for postgraduate and then PhD programs. Whereas in this university, it has been inverted. Our environmental studies department has done exceedingly well in research in terms of publications, in terms of this is the one department which has been listed, whose faculties have been listed in the top 2% of the scientists at Stanford University. From all counts, the performance of research is incredible. They are also taking up projects which are oriented in solving life problems, especially the society around us. I'm sure Environmental Science Department will take up solid waste management, which may be very relevant for our surroundings, and involve our students in all your pursuits, so that not only that they are sensitized, educated, but also they become experts for tomorrow. I thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity to participate in this function. I also express our gratitudes to Dr. T.V. Sanjeev, Senior Principal Scientist from Kerala Forest Research Institute, for having taken time to deliver his talk. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you so much, sir, for your enlightened words on saving the environment. Indeed, it's a dire need to protect our environment. Now, with this, I would like to invite Professor B.V. Babu, Dean Cs, SRM University, Andhra Pradesh, to give the lecture and give that idea about what we are doing at institute level for greening the initiative. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Pankaj. At the outset, I would like to thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity. Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sir, Professor V.S. Rao, Dr. T.V. Sanjeev, who is the Senior Principal Scientist of Kerala Forest Research Institute, Dr. Karthik Ranjan, the Head of the Department of Environmental Science, Dr. Pankaj, who is coordinating this event, Registrar, the Deans, the Directors, faculty members, and the student friends from our university, as well as the other participants who are participating from different places. A very hearty welcome to this session, which is very important for the entire humanity. As you know, we, the human beings, thought that we can control the nature, and then started fiddling with the nature, and then made a lot of damage to the nature by our intervention without having proper understanding of the connect. I, for one, always believed there is a connect starting from the self, to the family, to the society, and to the nature. One of the most predominant aspects of education is basically to understand that connect. But somehow, in the past few centuries of the technological advancements, we neglected that connect and never tried to understand that connect, and then started various activities which will, affect the nature of which we all are part of. In fact, there are 4 orders of nature. Bio order, which includes the plants and trees. Physical order, the soil, metals, etc. Animal order, animals, birds, etc. And human order, the human beings. And there are 5 dimensions of human order. One is the education, that is sanskar. Health, that is self-regulation. Production, that whatever jobs and work which we do. Justice, that is preservation. And exchange, that is the storage. And over and above that, there are 9 feelings in various relationships. As I mentioned, there is a connect among the self, the family, society, and nature. In all these relationships, there are 9 feelings which cannot be ignored and should be given due importance. One is the trust, that is Vishwas, that is the foundation value. Respect, that is Samman. Affection, that is Sneh. Care, that is Mamta. Guidance, that is Vatsalya. Reverence, that is Shraddha. Glory, that is Gaurav. Gratitude, that is Kritajnata. And love, that is Prem. It's a complete value. So trust, the foundation value, and love, that is the complete value. Whatever activities which we do in understanding these connects and understanding the needs of these 4 orders, we need to make use of these 5 dimensions of the human order and give due importance to these 9 feelings, which has been completely ignored and neglected. And this is the high time that these things are to be part and parcel of our education system. That's why in the new education policy also, there is a heavy emphasis on universal human values and ethics. As our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor V.S. Rao already mentioned, we right from the beginning have given a lot of emphasis on this course, Environmental Science, which is a compulsory course for all the students. Over and above that, we also have taken some green initiatives, several green initiatives as a part of environmental protection and conservation. The first one is we have installed a 361 kilowatt hour capacity solar power, which will be 2 to 10% of the total consumption is from our solar power. Depending upon the availability, up to 10% of the requirement of the university is taken care by the solar power systems which we've installed in our campus. And then we have composting. The food waste that is generated is processed and treated to make compost. And 100 kg per day of dry compost is produced using this waste that is generated. And we also have a professional sewage treatment plant where 100% sewage is treated in 600 kiloliters per day system. And recycled wastewater is also being used for gardening purposes. And energy conservation rating given by AP State Energy Conservation Department, phase 1, we got 6 star, and phase 2, we got 5 star. And waste segregation also at source is in line to implement at our university. So we at SRM University are very much in line with all the aspects associated with environmental protection and conservation. Of course, there is a lot to do, but we made a beginning. And I'm sure that with these beginnings, we can really bring in the change that is required among the students also who are part of this system. With these few words, I once again thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity. And I once again welcome our guest of honor, Dr. T.V. Sajeev, and eagerly looking forward to listen to your address. Thank you very much, one and all. God bless you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable words and motivating us for Green Initiative. Now it's time to listen to the most awaited talk on why did she stop going to school, which is being delivered by our eminent guest speaker, Dr. T.V. Sajeev, who has extensive research experience in the insect population, dynamics, biocontrol, and alien invasive species. Presently, he is the senior principal scientist in the Department of Forest Entomology, Kerala Forest Research Institute. And he is involved in managing tree health helpline for the state of Kerala and researching the management of giant African snail and alien invasive species, survey risk assessment, spread ecology, and the development of management protocols for alien invasive plants in Kerala. He has a patent for the development of a biopesticides using nuclear polyhedrovirus against the teak defoliator from joint research in managing the teak defoliator pest. Dr. Sajeev has acquired PhD degree from Cochin University of Science and Technology and MSc in Geology from University of Calicut. He has published several research papers, books in the area of landscape, fragmentation, population dynamics of insects, political ecology, biological control, and management of invasive alien species. Sir, I'm very delighted to welcome you to this platform and invite you to deliver your intriguing talk on why did she stop going to school, the case of student roles in saving the planet. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Pankaj. A good afternoon to Professor B.S. Rao, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor B.V. Babu, Dr. Karthik, and all the participants out here. This is indeed of a great privilege to have been invited to deliver this short speech as at the prestigious SRM University. Thank you very much for the invitation. Now, we need to answer a question which is there in the title. Why did she stop going to school? I think many of you have deciphered the answer. The girl who stopped going to school, her name is Greta Thunberg. And Greta had a very simple, straight answer for stopping going to the school. She told that, see, by the time I'll be grown up, you'll have your generation would have spoiled the whole planet. It would be difficult to live out there and forget about going to fetch a job. So what is the purpose of our generation going to the school and learning? We are growing up to live in a planet which is going to be absolutely spoiled. So why should we take the big task of learning, writing exams, getting good scores, coming out? We are not going to live in a planet which you have enjoyed, which your generation and your fathers and your forefathers have enjoyed. We are not going to live in such a beautiful planet. We are going to live in an absolutely damaged, polluted planet. So there's absolutely no purpose in myself going to the school. And she stopped going to the school. Instead, she went to the Swedish parliament. And the stairs of Swedish parliament, she sat down. And initially, people thought that this girl has gone out of her mind. But Greta was persistent. And gradually, her friends assembled. Her teachers came together. She started talking to them, and gradually the media turned up, and along with the politicians. And Greta told the politicians that it is time that you stop talking and start doing things which can take care of the planet. And which was a message taken up by a large number of students in many different countries across the globe. And they together started the big movement called the Friday boycott process, wherein every Friday students quit the classes, got out to the streets, and asked the political leadership to change the way they are running the country. Now that was started from Sweden, spread across the globe. In the meanwhile, Greta invited international attention. She was invited to the UN, and she addressed the world leaders, where she asked on the face that it is time that you world leaders start to act to reduce the carbon footprint of each one of the countries which you are leading. And now that was her reason to stop going to class. I know that I am speaking to students and faculty who doesn't like the process of students quitting the class and going out to the street and trying to make a change out there. Now, this was the reason why Greta did that. Now, that gave fuel to a large amount of discussions across the globe on how to change the degradation of the planet. In the inaugural forward talk, Professor B.S. Rao mentioned about the uniqueness of our planet. He mentioned that in the whole universe, there's no other place where you can see life. It is just here. And he told that there's a big responsibility for us. I will just add a small thing to that, which Professor E.O. Wilson has told. He told that, very frighteningly, he told that if life which exists in planet Earth is wiped out, there is no chance that life will start again, because the primary conditions for forming life has changed in this particular planet. So that was a very frightening advice which the great scientist had to give us. He said that, I am reiterating, if the life is wiped out from planet Earth, it cannot start again, because the primordial life forming conditions have completely changed. So that adds further amount of responsibility for we human beings on sustaining life over here and making sure that the planet can survive as a platform where life can move on without big damage. Now, that is the context of this particular talk. And I'll directly move on to the situation on how students can engage with this particular crisis moment. Reiterating one more sentence on the crisis moment, there had been a few indices earlier in this particular session, but then I will definitely say that the climate has changed. We have natural disasters in almost all the different states in India, in almost all the countries of the world. And nations have been forced to spend a large amount of money, not for the development of their respective places, but for getting back what was there before, which was lost because of natural disasters. Now, this is very important. A large part of every nation's GDP is now going to be spent on restoration activities, not for development. Now, this is something which would be scary for the student community who are going to come up and lead their life again, which calls for what we call as the intergenerational equity. The students should understand what is meant by intergenerational equity. Like, think of the facilities your parents had, the clean air, the clean water, the clean food your parents had, and think about their parents also. What was the nature which was there for them to live in? When you have this particular nature for you to live in, what is the type of nature which you are going to give to your children and then to their children? So there is a vertical equity which we need to think of. We are all equal. We all need equal set of resources, opportunities, resources, but it is not horizontal equity. It is also vertical equity. There should be an equity across generations. So that way, the responsibility is even further high, that the resources of the planet is not for just one generation. It is for the generations to come over and live in this particular planet. So basically, the question in our hand is how far we can push the resources further ahead so that more generations can survive on this particular planet. Wherein we need to look at the UNFCCC reports, which says that 2050 is going to be a critical year. And the next critical year is going to be 2100, where a large number of spaces in the planet, which is going to be underwater because the sea level is rising. The global temperature increase has been 1.2 degrees centigrade in the past 170 years. It is still going to be higher. The polar ice cubes are going to be melting, which adds to the water in the ocean. The sea level is rising. Many of the islands in the Pacific Ocean has already gone under the sea. Our neighbor, Maldives, people in Maldives have started buying land in Sri Lanka, Australia, and New Zealand. In India, people who are living in places which are low-lying, like the Sundarbans. They are already moving out from there. In Kerala, from where I am speaking, we have our rice bowl in a place called Alapi, which is below the sea level. So we are under severe threat. Our big city, Kochi, is in the side of the Arabian Sea. And so we are going to lose land, one thing. Second, our species are going to move away from hot spaces. Uh, the fish which was caught from the coasts of Kerala are now being caught from the coast of Vishakhapatnam, which means that from the equator, the schools of fish are moving towards the poles. And on land, what is happening is that the species which are in the lowland are gradually climbing the mountains, because going up the mountain, it is much more cooler. Now, when they move, they doesn't move as a group. We all have learned what an ecosystem is. And in the schools, the example which is taught as an example of ecosystem is the pond. And you said that the pond is an ecosystem. Basically, because all the species which are living there, the plants, the animals, the amphibians, the reptiles, the birds, mammals, everything, they are all interconnected. Now, when the temperature increases, these species move out from there, and they move at their own paces. Those species which can fly, they fly. Some species crawl, they crawl away. Some hop and they hop away. Some walk and they walk away. But they do all these things at their own time and pace, which means that the integrity of the ecosystem will be completely lost. And the species are gradually going up the mountains. And in Kerala, we can see the species climbs up the Western Ghats. So we scientists are really worried about what is going to happen to the species who are already there on top of the Western Ghats. We know what's going to happen. What's going to happen is that they'll be going to go, and that their living of the places is called as local extinction, because they are already living in sky islands, which are the mountain peaks. They just disappear from there. So we are going to face one, sea level rise, second, species extinction. But we are most bothered about not the first and second reasons, or first and second impacts, but about the third impact, which is called as the extreme climatic events. I can tell you from the place where I am in, Kerala was supposed to be a safe place to live. There were no major natural hazards. There were no volcanoes, no earthquakes, no hurricanes coming in, nothing. But not anymore. We are receiving problems. We are receiving extremely high rainfall. We are having landslides and landslips for the past 4 years on a regular basis. Every monsoon, we have landslips and landslides, and we are losing human lives. We have hurricanes coming to Kerala. We had the Oki, which took many lives. Then we had a cyclone called Gaja, which surprised all of us, because Gaja started in the Bay of Bengal, and it had landfall in Tamil Nadu, and it crossed the Western Ghats, the first cyclone to have crossed the Western Ghats. No other cyclone has ever crossed the Western Ghats. Now it crossed, and we lost life in that cyclone also. Now we had very fateful monsoon rainfall in Kerala. We normally have, starting from January 1st, this is the pattern. In February and late February and early March, we'll have a small rains, which we call as the summer showers. And then starting from June 1st, we have the southwest monsoon, which will go up to August and early September. And then we have the northeast monsoon, which starts by end of by mid-October. And that is a rainfall pattern: the summer showers, the southwest monsoon, and the northeast monsoon. Now, last year, there was no gap between the southwest and the northeast monsoons. And this year, there was no gap between the summer showers and the southwest monsoon. The monsoon pattern has completely changed. And this change last year, it was almost continuous rain. rain. This year, our summer showers started, but the pattern of summer showers was so different. Some days it was just like southwest monsoon, wherein the rain starts in the morning, and some days it was like the northeast monsoon, the rain started in the evening with thunder and lightning. So the entire rainfall pattern has changed. And what happened when the rainfall pattern changes? It affects the entire phenology of the plants. The plants doesn't know when to put up new leaves, when to put up flowers. Its pattern is completely gone. And the pollinators, the synchrony between the pollinators and the flowering of the plant is broken. And when the flowers are up, the pollinators may not be ready. And when the pollinators are up, there may not be any flowers over there. It affects the regeneration of the plants. And for the herbivores, when the new flesh comes up, only the new flesh can be eaten by herbivorous insects. When they emerge, when the egg hatch, there will not be any tender foliage out there. Their population crashes. Now, this is synchrony across all the living forms, starting from the producers, the primary consumers, the secondary consumers, the tertiary consumers, the decomposers. That linkages is gone. As Professor Babu was narrating earlier, there is a synchrony across different orders. And the climate change scenario is breaking, is fragmenting that synchrony. Now, this is a scenario which we are in. Now, I will just go up to the solutions and wind up. What are the solutions? What can students do? The first and foremost thing students can do is to bring down the carbon footprint. And I think you know what a carbon footprint is. A carbon footprint is my carbon footprint is the amount of carbon which I burn. And we all have different carbon footprints. And the sorry state is that we live in a system where we understand about our success. Our success is equated with the amount of carbon we burn. I'll give you a small example. If I travel in a bicycle, and if I sell my bicycle and I buy a motorbike, immediately I will get more respect. I'll be seen as a person who is much more successful. And if I graduate from my motorbike to a car, I'll be looked upon as a much more successful person. And if I move from a small car to a big car, I'll be further treated as a successful person. Now see what is really happening. Have I changed to get more and more respect from my family, my relatives, my friends, my society? Have I changed? No, I have not changed. But what has changed is the amount of carbon I burn. I burn more carbon when I graduate from bicycle to bike, and from bike to small car, and from small car to big car. What essentially happens is that the amount of carbon I burn is increased. And when I increase the amount of carbon I burn, I get more respect. And people feel that I am successful. You students should be able to make this situation upside down. You should be able to crack this problem. You should be able to respect your teacher based on the teacher's wisdom, not by the car the teacher is using. You should be able to respect a person based on his knowledge, based on how good a person is, not not based on how much carbon he is burning. So that is the first thing you should be able to do. And when you look at the previous generation, likewise, you should also look horizontally, and also you should look inside yourself on how you can bring down the carbon footprint individually and collectively. Like for example, how can SRM University? I'm so glad when I heard Professor Babu explaining how 10% of the total energy consumption of the university comes from the solar panels. Now, you students should think about how best you can bring down the total carbon footprint of the university. There are immense ways of doing it. So this is one thing, and think about the various options in which you can bring down the carbon footprint. That is something which is absolutely needed for the planet to move ahead. And let the university come up with the students, the faculty, let there be individual thoughts, collective thoughts, and programs coming up. And those should be the models which should be emanating from the university to the whole world, so that the world can follow it up. To take the SRM model and execute it in a large number of campuses across the globe. So that is one suggestion which I would like to put forward to this August audience. Now coming to the second thing and the last thing. Now there's a person called Noam Chomsky. Noam Chomsky is a linguistic philosopher. He hails from the United States. He's a emeritus professor over there. One of the interesting things which he recently told was that for mankind to survive, the only option is to rely on the knowledge of the indigenous communities. What he said was that the survival of humankind is dependent upon how best the knowledge of indigenous communities can be made use of. Because the model which we are pursuing, the model of infinite growth, is completely doomed. You cannot go much further on the model which we are now moving ahead. It is not sustainable. It cannot go for a long number of years. It will crash. The fossil fuels are going to wither off. We need to get back to many new things to survive on this particular planet. And the best people who know how to survive with a very small carbon footprint on this planet is called the indigenous people. Now, we normally look at indigenous people as people who are not civilized, people who have not gone to the school or colleges, people who are illiterate. That's absolutely wrong. They are the people who know how to survive in this planet without a school, without a hospital, without the knowledge which is taught in schools and colleges, which means that they know, every individual in that community know how to survive in this particular planet without any outside help. And that is a best knowledge. That is a brilliant knowledge which they have. We need to learn from them. We need to learn from indigenous communities, the way they handle their lives, the way they handle their communities, the way they handle the resources they have, the way they live based on the resources which are getting limited. So the second thing which I would urge the faculty and the students of SRM University is to learn, to start off a program in which students get an opportunity to learn from the lifestyles of indigenous people and to absorb the best qualities they are following, and to translate those models into our own lifestyles. And this is something which will upturn or turn upside down the current way of development which we think of. We think that the richest people in the world are the best models. No, they are the bad models. They are the people who damage the planet in a big way. So they are not the models. The real models for survival in this particular planet are the indigenous people, the poor people. We need to start learning from the poor people, and we should tell the rich people that there's something wrong with the style of life you are leading. You need to change. You cannot live this way, and the way you are living, it really harms the planet. Now, these are the two things. The first, large number of ideas which are coming out from SRM University on how to reduce the carbon footprint. Second, a methodology, a program in which students and faculty get an opportunity to learn from our indigenous community. We have a large number of indigenous communities in India. We are the richest in the whole globe, and their lifestyle, the way they treat air, the way they treat water, the way they treat food, the way they treat fuel, everything needs to be studied. and it has to be incorporated. And rather than going for a lifestyle which is producing a large amount of waste, uh, we need to learn from the indigenous communities on how they are living without producing any waste. Uh, Now they are the model, and accept them as the model rather than the rich people who completely litter the whole planet. Now, if these two things, ideas, can be deliberated amongst yourself and thought about and debated, I'll be really happy. Once again, immensely thankful for this opportunity to speak to you. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, sir, for a very motivating and interesting talk and answering the question what you have asked during your talk. So now the forum is open for the question answer, and I request all the participants, if you have any query or question, please feel free to ask. I repeat, if you are having any question, you can ask, unmute yourself and ask. Or write this.
Dr. Pankaj, there is a question in the chat box.
Okay.
Do you want me to read?
Yeah, can you please?
Yeah. Do you think producing geothermal energy in India is feasible on a large scale?
Sir, can you answer this question?
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, when you speak of geothermal energy, the major things which go into it, uh, uh, looking at those, I don't think that India is able to tap that particular energy in a big way. There are countries which can work on that, like for example, countries like New Zealand, where the heat is something which is continuously emanating from the uh, from the uh, from the ground. They have making use of it, but then we don't have that sort of a systems. I have never come across a system like that in India, where we have a large number of hot springs, where on a large scale we can produce energy which can be translated to other forms and used. But also, I am not a specialist in that particular field, but this is my general field. So that's the only comment which I can make on that.
Okay, thank you, sir. Dr. Karthik, is there any other question?
That's the only question. But I have one question to you, sir. India is planning towards the decarbonized society by 2070. Do you think at the rate at which we are moving towards decarbonization, can we reach this particular target by 2070? Decarbonizations of our energy systems.
Yeah, it's possible, but then it's possible. The idea which has been put forward across the globe is to make the peaking as fast as possible. Now, when you say that you need to peak fast, which makes sure that the peak of your energy consumption, fossil fuel consumption, should come fast, which means that once the peaking is over, you have to go down. Now, what is happening is that there's a very interesting case here. Earlier, we thought that the more energy you consume, the more is going to be your GDP. So the GDP of a country was linked to the energy use. So now that relationship is broken. Many of the Scandinavian countries have broken that equation. They have proved that you can improve your GDP without increasing the burning of fossil fuels. But so that way it's possible. 2070 is a target where we can, even before that, we can do our peaking. That's possible.
There is one question from Dr. Shailendra. Let me allow to speak. Shailendra, can you unmute and speak?
Myself. Dr. Sanjeev, a very nice talk, And since I'm not expert in this field, but since you know all this environmental related issue are mostly concerned with the climate change issue. Okay, so and India is the country which will face this cyclonic activity in the future. So my question is that okay, this is all are the possible solution which we are saying that we have to use the sustainable energy source or the renewable energy source. But can you please tell me that is this all the progress in the environmental science will able to reduce this climate change issue or not? Because sometimes some of the scientists are saying that these climate issue are related with the cycle of the earth, and it is not that we cannot really constant it. So what is your opinion on that? Can you please comment on that?
Sure, that's a very interesting question. Whenever we speak about global climate change, this is one interesting concern which comes up. This is all part of a larger cycle.
Yes,
So,
sir.
why should we bother about it? We just live through and see what's going to happen because we cannot do anything. Now, the answer is simple and straight. The Earth, our planet, has gone through much serious crisis in the past, even before human beings came to this particular planet. The planet has got completely frozen up. It was like a molten metal for a long period of time. It cooled, only the upper surface cooled, and inside it is still molten out there. It has been struck by meteorites, comets, the dust which rised up, killed a large number of organisms. And the life after starting in the whole planet has undergone 5 massive extinctions, which has happened. And the last extinction, nearly 82% of the living organisms are completely wiped out. So Earth has seen many changes happening. And Mother Earth will not be crying at this stage because Mother Earth has gone through much painful extinctions which has happened on her body. Now, what makes this current point very interesting is that the change which we are talking about has been caused by human beings. It is anthropogenic. It was caused by human beings, starting from the Industrial Revolution, starting from the time at which we started to burn coal and then petroleum and then natural gas. So it's a question of 200 years period. We have warmed the whole planet to 1.2 degrees centigrade. And when we say that it is human made, we can control it. If it was because of some other reasons, there's no need for us to discuss about it. But this is something which we have caused, and that is why we have a role to play, and we can mitigate that, and we can adapt to that. So that is a possibility. And I do think there are, and if you have got still any doubt whether this particular events have got a is because of the grand cycle, I will refer to the latest, the sixth assessment report by UNFCCC, which is called the Physical Basis of Climate Change. It was published in August 2021. It is freely available on the website. Just Google this sixth assessment or the physical basis of climate change. You will have the full document wherein the scientists across the globe, nearly 248 scientists sat together, looked at the data, analyzed it, and then came up with a report which says that this is man-made. So that is my answer.
Thank you, sir. And sir, one more question. Like whenever some environmental scientists used to say that, okay, like we should not do the mining at a particular place, or we should not explore at a particular area, suppose the Western Ghat. But the government never used to listen us. So what is the possible reason? Because some of the scientists earlier told that if you will do the mining in the Western Ghat, it will affect you badly. And now in the year from since 2017, we are seeing that even a small amount of the rainfall could cause a severe avalanche effect, like the landslide. So why the government is not listen us? What is the problem? Is it problem with us or with them? Because if we really want to solve this environmental crisis, the scientists and the government must have to work. But at least what we are seeing that we are lagging in some terms. So what is the reason behind that? Why we are not able to speak in such a way that the government should actually feel that yes, there is an environmental crisis and we have to do something? What is the reason behind that, sir?
Yeah, the reason is simple, straight, but disturbing. Uh, the reason is that the fundamental reason is that our land is not ruled or governed based on science.
Okay.
That's a sad fact. Uh, if I explain, what happens is that the mining makes a lot of money. There's a large amount of money coming out of the mining industry. So our recommendation to the government was that the government should do it, because this is the granite, the stones, everything is a public property, it's a common property. It is not owned by any single individual. It is for the generations to come over here. So it is our responsibility to use it as sparingly as possible, and with the opportunity for everybody to use it. But don't just finish it off. It should be there for the generations to come. So the best way to do it is to for the government to do it in the best way possible. The government doesn't do that. Why? It is all done by private people, and they mint money out of it, and they share part of the money which is minted to the government, the political parties, and the parties are run with that money. If they nationalize it, this money is lost. That's a simple reason.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I got my answer. Very thank.
Sir,
I'm
there
done.
are
Yeah.
couple of more questions.
Yeah. I saw one question over here. Thank you for the interesting talk. Are there any opportunity for students to work at KFI and forestry or ethanol? Yeah, KFI is exclusively working on forests. We study forests, and also we've studied the agroforestry systems. But after the 2018 and 19 floods, we are also increasingly taking up restoration programs along riverbanks, in landslide locations. So we are doing work both inside and outside forest. And we have a large number of projects which are ongoing, and every new project needs students to work on. We normally do our advertisements in our website, and we normally do a walk-in interview and recruit students who will work over here. And the students who are joining get an opportunity to do their doctoral work if they are interested in 3 universities. One is the FRI, the Forest Society Institute at Dehradun. The second is the University of Calicut, and third is the Cochin University of Science and Technology. So they can register for their PhD in any of these 3 universities.
There are a couple more questions, sir. So the first question is,
yeah,
as per awareness drive and government intervention, globally plantation is increasing. So till what extent plantation can neutralize the impact of global climate change or the environmental change?
okay. If I heard it right, you say that the area of plantations is on the rise, and how climate change is going to impact the plantations, right? Is that the question?
Yes, sir. So what extent can plantation neutralize the global climate change? Like if we can increase the plantation, can it neutralize the global environmental change?
Yeah, actually, plantations are at the same time good and bad. Plantations, the problem with plantations is that most of our plantations are just monoculture plantations. They are just single species plantations. I will tell you our story from Kerala. We were the first in starting the plantation of teak tree, Tectona grandis. It was started when the Britishers were ruling us. The first plantation came out in 1842. 1842, when the British started the plantation, the reason was that they wanted teak, and teak was used to make the ships. And at that point of time, the British was in war with other European countries, and they wanted to make large number of warships, and they wanted teak. They were cutting the natural teak from the natural forest, and they found that that would not be enough. So they started to grow teak. They started the first plantation, which was tremendously successful. And when the Britishers went back, one of our major revenue sources was from this plantation. But now what happened was that we now have our tea plantations, which is in the fourth or fifth rotation, and which is not as productive as the first rotation. And the plantations are becoming a failure story. So plantations are not the answer. The real answer is the natural forest. Every place has a particular type of vegetation destined to it based on three factors. One is the elevation, the second is the rainfall, third is the soil type. So based on these three parameters, every part in the globe has a destined vegetation to come up there. And that is what should come up, not plantation.
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Sajeev, I have a small question here, straight away I want to put forward in front of you. You know, you talked about the species shift due to this climate change. You know,
Yes.
what I'm able to understand from the climate change point of view, when I was working there at IISc Bangalore, you know, the long-term ecological observatories program, and you know, KFRI is also the part of that. What I understood from that, you know, we have not that much data from the India where we can say we will relate it with the climate change. It can be, you know, due to some disturbance factors also we have in terms of the fire, in terms of the other environment. Do you think that we have sufficient data by which we can link it with the climate change, the species shift?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. We now have data. KFRI is now 46 years old, and our first collections started to come up 40 years before. And starting from 2 years before, we had been revisiting all those sites, and we are redoing the collection. And we are comparing the insect assemblage, which we collected 40 years before, with the collections which we have right now. We are comparing the morphometry and also the insect assemblage, and it is based on the very preliminary information which has started to come from that project, based on which I am speaking.
Thank you, sir.
Pankaj.
Yeah. So there is another question. It is mentioned that, sir, what one thing to change the climate change? And this is going to be a last question for today's session.
Okay. The one main thing is to reduce the carbon emissions.
Okay, thank you so much, sir, and all the participants for a wonderful session over here. And now we are very close to end the session. For this, I would like to invite Dr. Javed Ahmed Dar to conclude the session. Over to you, Dr. Javed.
Thank you, Dr. Pankaj, and good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the SRM University and particularly Department of the Environmental Science, I would like to take this opportunity to thank each one of you for taking time out from your busy schedules for this special occasion of World Environment Day celebration on the theme Only One Earth. First of all, I would like to thank our distinguished speaker, Dr. T.V. Saji, for his deeply insightful and interesting talk. Thank you for the inspiring words, sir, and enlightening us how students play a great role in protecting our planet and fight against the ongoing and the future climate change events. You know, you have different things that from species shift to climate change to sea level rise, deforestation, and number of the events in terms of, you know, the regional and the global rainfall change patterns and the change in the phenology as well and their solutions. It was very engaging, and I am sure all of us benefited greatly from this talk. We look forward to working and interacting more with you in the future. Thank you, sir. I also take this opportunity to thank our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor V.S. Rao, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor D. Narayana Rao, Dean School of Engineering and Sciences, Professor B.V. Babu, Directorate of Alumni Affairs, Student Affairs, Management Team, Registrar, all deans, heads, and faculty members of other departments for their continuous support for organized this event. I also express my gratitude to the ITKM team as well as the members of the press and electronic media for coverage of this event. My sincere thanks to the wonderful audience and students for your active participation and interaction with our speaker. I also extend my thanks to my dear departmental colleagues, Dr. Karthik Rajendra, Faculty Coordinator, Dr. Soji, Dr. Pankaj, Dr. Shailendra, and last but not the least, our PhD research scholars for actively participating and enthusiastically arranging this event. I hope you all enjoyed this session as much as I did. Thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful evening and a great weekend ahead. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Dr. Javed. Now we are ending this session, and I again thankful to our speaker, Dr. T.V. Sanjeev, and Dean of Engineering, Professor B.V. Babu, and VC of SRM University for giving their valuable time to attend this session. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.